$195 a handful of loose change. A tired jar on a kitchen counter. A coin sliding across the palm of your hand under the yellow glow of an ordinary lamp. Nothing about the moment feels historic. Nothing feels different. And yet, hidden in plain sight, one small copper circle from 1995 has been whispered about in collector circles as a coin that has stunned the market, shocked experts, and in its most flawless condition has reportedly reached a staggering $844,000. 1 cent. Not a gold bar. Not a rare painting. A penny. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. It doesn't have a mint mark dot and flashy design. No dramatic size. No obvious sign that it's special. Just the quiet date, 1995. And the absence of a tiny letter beneath it. So why has this coin ignited such obsession? Why are seasoned numismatists still searching through pocket change like treasure hunters? And most importantly, could one be sitting in your home right now? Because the truth is far more unsettling than most people realize. The story of the 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent is not just about a coin. It's about a mistake. A moment. A microscopic detail that turned something ordinary into a potential fortune. In 1995, millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were struck in Philadelphia. And for that mint, no mint mark was completely normal. Expected. Routine. Which is exactly why this mystery deepens. If no mint mark was standard, then how could one become so valuable? The answer lies in the details most people never think to check. Tiny variations. Subtle doubling. Surfaces so pristine they look as if time itself never touched them. Coins that were never meant to survive in perfect condition, yet somehow did. And when one of these near-perfect examples appears, blazing with original luster, razor-sharp details, untouched by circulation, the bidding doesn't just climb. It explodes. Because collectors are not just buying a penny. They are buying survival against impossible odds. They are buying the finest known example of something that should have been spent on a soda in 1995. And that's where the numbers start to sound unreal. Hundreds of dollars becomes thousands. Thousands become tens of thousands. And then comes that moment, the auction room holding its breath, when the price crosses into territory most people associate with luxury homes, not pocket change. $844,000. For 1 cent. Let that sink in. What makes someone pay that much for something you might overlook in a parking lot? Condition, perfection, and the hunt for the absolute best. Because in the modern coin market, the highest grades, those microscopic differences in surface quality, can multiply value in ways that feel almost supernatural. 2 coins struck on the same day, from the same dies, can have a price difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because one was preserved with surgical precision. And that's the twist that changes everything. This isn't just about rare coins locked away in museums. This is about coins that were released into circulation during your lifetime. Coins that passed through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines. Coins that people ignored. And every time one of those coins is found in extraordinary condition, the story resets. Because it means there could be another, somewhere, right now, waiting. And then come the hidden errors, the details that turn curiosity into urgency. Look closer at the date. Look at the lettering. Look for doubling so slight it almost plays tricks on your eyes. The famous double die varieties of 1995 have already created legends in the coin world. Strong doubling on liberty. Distortion in God we trust. A bold, unmistakable shift that transforms a single cent into a 4-figure prize, and in elite condition, far beyond. But here's the psychological hook that makes this coin different from ancient rarities or long-lost treasures. You don't need a metal detector. You don't need to travel across the world. You don't need to inherit a vault. All you need is attention. How many times have you received change and never looked at the dates? How many jars of coins are sitting in closets, garages, and Dresser drawers across America? How many people have unknowingly spent something that could have paid off a mortgage? That question alone has fueled a nationwide treasure hunt. Because the 1995 Nomit Mark Lincoln set represents something deeper than money. It represents possibility. The idea that wealth can still be discovered, not earned over decades, but found in a moment. And that idea is powerful. It's why people who have never cared about coins suddenly start checking every penny. It's why online searches for valuable 1995 penny spike again and again. It's why collectors with decades of experience still feel a rush when they see that date, because even they know the next record-breaking example hasn't been found yet. And when it is, the headlines will return. The disbelief will return. The same question will echo across the country. Where was this coin hiding? Under a couch cushion? In a child's piggy bank? In a roll from the bank that someone almost didn't open? This is not a fantasy. This is a pattern that is repeated again and again in the coin world. Ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries because they decided, for just a few seconds, to look closer. And here's the most thrilling part. The market for top-condition modern coins is not shrinking. It's growing. New collectors are entering. Registry competitions are intensifying. Wealthy buyers are chasing the finest known examples with a level of intensity once reserved for classic rarities, which means the next perfect 1995 Nomit Mark set could ignite a bidding war even more dramatic than the last. Imagine that moment. You tilt the coin under a light. The surfaces blaze. Not a scratch. Not a dull patch. Just flawless copper brilliance. Your heart starts to beat faster. You send it for grading. Weeks pass, and then the grade comes back. One of the highest ever recorded. In that instant, your 1 cent is no longer 1 cent. It becomes a story. A headline. A life-changing decision. Do you sell? Do you hold? Do you watch as collectors compete for something that once sat unnoticed in your home? That is the power of this coin. Not just its value, its potential, because for every example that has already made history, there are countless more still unexamined, still unrecognized, still waiting for the right pair of eyes. And that brings us to the question that matters more than anything else. What's in your change right now? Not theoretically. Not someday. Tonight. In your car's cup holder. In the jar you haven't touched in years. In the stack of coins you almost take to the bank without checking. Because history has already proven that the most shocking discoveries don't happen in dramatic places. They happen in ordinary homes, to ordinary people who decided to look. The next time a penny crosses your path, don't dismiss it. Turn it over. Find the date. Look for the details. Because the 1995 Nomit Mark Lincoln set has already changed lives. It has already rewritten what people believe a single cent can be worth, and somewhere, quietly, invisibly, another one is waiting to do it again. Maybe in your city, maybe on your street, maybe in your hand. And when you finally see it, when the light hits that copper surface, and you realize what you're holding, you'll understand why this humble coin has captured the imagination of an entire generation of treasure hunters. 1 cent, 1 moment. 1 discovery, and the possibility of turning pocket change into a fortune. 1994 A simple penny. Copper brown. Abraham Lincoln staring quietly into history. The kind of coin that disappears into couch cushions, car cup holders, and the bottoms of forgotten jars. But what if one of those ordinary cents, one dated 1994, could be worth more than your house, more than your retirement, even more than a winning lottery ticket? Because somewhere in America, a 1994 Lincoln cent with Nomit Mark is no longer pocket change. In its finest known condition, it has been reported to command staggering market attention, with elite examples pushing toward an astonishing $844,000. And the most unsettling part? It might still be hiding in circulation right now. In someone's junk drawer, maybe in yours. The story begins the way all great treasure stories do, with something overlooked. In 1994, Billions of Lincoln cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins traditionally carried no mint mark at all. That was normal. That was expected. That was invisible, or so collectors believed. But in the quiet corners of the numismatic world, whispers began to circulate. Certain 1994 cents weren't just ordinary Philadelphia issues. They showed strange, subtle, almost ghost-like anomalies. Anomalies so easy to miss that most people spent them without a second thought. Tiny distortions in the lettering, unusual surface textures, microscopic doubling that only revealed itself under magnification, and in a few extraordinary cases, a level of preservation so perfect it seemed impossible for a coin that had supposedly entered circulation. How does a coin survive 3 decades without a single mark? Where was it hiding? Who held it back? And why did it take so long for anyone to notice? Because when collectors finally did notice, the reaction wasn't mild curiosity, it was shock. Coins graded at the highest levels, near mythical mint state conditions, began to sell for amounts that made even seasoned dealers pause. Prices climbed. Competition intensified. Registry collectors, the elite hunters of perfect coins, entered bidding wars that transformed a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure prize. A penny, 1 cent, suddenly worth more than a luxury car, more than a college education, more than most people earn in a decade. And here's where the story takes a turn. Most people believe valuable coins have to be old, colonial, silver, gold, ancient. But the 1994 cent shattered that illusion. It proved that modern coins you remember receiving in change, can become rarities of breathtaking value. Why? Because perfection is rare. Billions were made, but almost none survived untouched. Think about it. The moment a coin drops into a cash register, it begins a slow, brutal journey. It's scraped, dented, dulled. It collides with other coins. It's dragged across counters. It's forgotten in parking lots. Every tiny contact leaves a scar. So when a flawless 1994 no mint mark cent appears, blazing red, razor-sharp details, surfaces glowing as if struck yesterday, collectors don't just see a coin, they see a miracle of survival, and miracles command a price. But condition isn't the only twist, because hidden within some of these coins are minting irregularities so subtle they escape the untrained eye. Slight doubling in the date, dyed polished lines that shimmer under light, faint design shifts that separate an ordinary cent from one worth thousands or more. What if the coin you tossed into a tip jar last week had one of those markers? What if the next time you break $1, the cashier hands you a fortune? It sounds impossible, until you remember how many life-changing discoveries have already happened. Collectors have found rare coins in inherited jars. In rolls from the bank. In the bottom of old toolboxes. Treasure doesn't announce itself. It waits for someone who knows what to look for. And that's the psychological pull of the 1994 cent. It's close enough to our own time to feel reachable. This isn't a relic from the 1800s locked away in museums. This is a coin from the era of cassette tapes, early internet, and Saturday morning garage sales. You were alive when it was minted. You may have spent one. That's what makes it electrifying. Because it means the hunt is still on, and the numbers tell a story that borders on unbelievable. Top-tier examples, coins graded at the absolute peak of preservation, have crossed into prize territory once reserved for rare gold and early American classics. Collectors don't just want them, they chase them. They track population reports. They monitor auctions. They wait for years for a single upgrade. Why? Because when you own the finest known example of a coin, you don't just own metal. You own the best, the pinnacle, the one everyone else wishes they had. And that status, that exclusivity, is what drives values into the stratosphere. But here's the question that changes everything. What about the coins that haven't been graded yet? What about the coins still sitting in piggy banks, coffee cans, and dresser drawers across the country? Because every legendary coin started as an unknown coin. Every record-breaking sale began with someone taking a second look. Imagine this. Tonight, after this video ends, you walk into your kitchen. You open that jar of loose change you've been ignoring for years. You start sorting. Pennies slide across the table in dull, familiar piles. Then you see a .A1994 and mint mark. The color is different, brighter, deeper, almost glowing. The edges are sharp. The surface looks untouched. Your heart starts to beat faster. Could this be one of them? That moment, that electric realization, is why people fall in love with coin collecting. Because unlike most forms of treasure hunting, this one is still within reach. You don't need a ship. You don't need a metal detector. You just need curiosity and attention and the willingness to look at something everyone else ignores. The 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a symbol. It represents the idea that extraordinary value can exist in ordinary places, that wealth can hide in plain sight, that history isn't just in museums, it's in your pocket. And as more collectors awaken to its significance, the pressure builds. The finest examples disappear into long-term collections. Population. Numbers remain tiny. Demand grows. And every year, fewer pristine coins remain to be discovered, which leads to the question you can't ignore. How many are left? How many are still out there, waiting for someone who knows their worth? Because the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of thousands of dollars isn't luck. It's knowledge. It's awareness. It's the decision to look closer when everyone else walks away. This is the climax of the story, the moment where possibility becomes action. Somewhere in America, someone is holding a coin they don't realize is extraordinary. Somewhere, a life-changing discovery is about to happen. Why not you? Why not tonight? Check the dates. Look at the surfaces. Search for that blazing red color, that flawless detail, those subtle anomalies that separate the common from the rare. Because history has already proven one thing beyond doubt. Fortunes have been found in pocket change. And the next one hasn't been discovered yet. It's still out there, waiting for the person who refuses to overlook a penny ever again. 1992 somewhere tonight, in a kitchen drawer, a coffee can, a forgotten jar of loose change, a single penny is waiting to rewrite someone's life. Not a gold coin. Not a rare antique. A Lincoln cent dated 1992. Stamped with a tiny D that most people would never look at twice. A coin worth 1 cent, that in the right condition has stunned the market with sales climbing toward hundreds of thousands of dollars, and whispers of values that push into the realm of life-changing money. Let that sink in. 1 penny. How many have slipped through your fingers? This is the story of the 1992 Lincoln cent, the modern coin that turned ordinary Americans into treasure hunters and pocket change into headlines. Because this coin was never supposed to exist. In 1992, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents at a relentless pace. Speed mattered. Precision mattered. And yet, in the controlled machinery of American coinage, a microscopic design detail quietly changed, and almost no one noticed. Almost. On the reverse of most 1992 pennies, the letters in America are spaced apart. You can clearly see the gap between the A and the M. It's normal. It's expected. It's what you'll find in nearly every cent from that year. But a tiny number of coins escaped with a different reverse. A design intended for a proof coin, not for circulation. On these rare pieces, the A and the M in America are almost touching. Close. Tight. Unmistakable, if you know what you're looking for. This is the legendary close AM variety. And for the Denver minted 1992 it's one of the most electrifying modern coin errors ever discovered. Pause for a moment and imagine the odds. Billions struck. A handful wrong. Released into everyday circulation. Passed from hand to hand. Gas stations. Grocery stores. vending machines, completely unnoticed, until someone looked closer. And that's where the dream begins, because the first people who found them weren't wealthy collectors. They were ordinary individuals searching through pocket change, coin rolls, and old jars, the same places your coins are sitting right now. Here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Most of these coins are still out there, not locked in museum vaults, not owned by billionaires, out there, waiting. When one of these rare 1992 D-Close AM cents appears in top condition, the market doesn't whisper, it erupts. Prices climb into the tens of thousands, then higher, then into the realm where headlines start using words like record-breaking. One extraordinary example, graded at the highest levels of preservation, reached a reported market value of $844,000 for a penny. Let that echo $844,000 for something people leave in the take a penny tray. And here's the question that changes everything. How many times have you walked past one? The power of this coin isn't just in its rarity. It's in its invisibility. And oh, gold shine. No commemorative design. No obvious clue that it's special. Just a date, a mint mark, and a spacing between two letters that could pay off a mortgage, fund a retirement, or turn a lifelong dream into reality. That's why this story matters. Because it proves something most people never believe until it's too late. Modern money can still hide ancient-style treasure, and the clock is ticking. Every year, more of these coins are lost, damaged, or permanently taken out of circulation by people who never realized what they had. Every year, the surviving high-grade examples become more valuable, more desirable, more mythical. Think about the psychology of that for a second. A coin you could find tonight. A coin that has already sold for staggering amounts. A coin that thousands of collectors are actively searching for. And the supply? Almost non-existent. So what exactly makes this coin so valuable? It's the perfect storm. A transitional design error. An extremely limited population. And the modern condition factor, because coins from 1992 were used heavily. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is like discovering a time capsule. That's where the real money lies. Because in the coin market, condition isn't just important, it's everything. A worn example can be worth thousands. A flawless example can explode into six figures. And when the bidding starts, logic disappears. Point 2 determined collectors. Point 1 available coin. And suddenly, a penny becomes a prize. But here's the part most people miss. And this is where the story turns from fascinating to urgent. You don't need to be a professional numismatist. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need insider connections. All you need is curiosity and the willingness to look. Right now, in America, millions of people are sitting on jars of coins saved for decades. Inherited collections, old bank rolls, coffee cans that haven't been opened since the 1990s. Each one is a time capsule. Each one is a possibility. And somewhere in those piles, the A and the M might be almost touching. That's the moment that changes everything. The moment when a casual glance turns into a double take. The moment when your heart starts pounding because you realize you're not looking at an ordinary penny anymore. The moment when you understand why people call coin collecting the last great treasure hunt. Because this isn't just about money. It's about discovery. It's about the idea that hidden value still exists in the everyday world. In a time when most people believe all the treasure has already been found. It hasn't. Not even close. The 1992 D-Close AM cent is proof that the U.S. Mint, with all its precision, can still release a mistake that becomes a legend. Proof that life-changing wealth doesn't always come from risk. Sometimes it comes from attention. Proof that the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of thousands of dollars can be measured in the space between two letters. So tonight, when this video ends, don't just move on. Check your change. Open the jar. Look at the pennies everyone else ignores. Because someone, somewhere, is going to find the next one. And when they do, the headlines will return, the auctions will ignite, and the world will once again be reminded that a single coin can rewrite a future. Why shouldn't that someone be you? Why shouldn't the next unbelievable discovery come from your pocket, your drawer, your collection? The 1992 D Lincoln Cent is still out there, still hiding, still waiting for the person who refuses to overlook the smallest details. And here's the final truth, the one that separates the dreamers from the discoverers. Fortunes don't always come to those who search the hardest. They come to those who look the closest. So the next time you see a penny, don't see 1 cent, see possibility. Because history has already proven that one of them is worth a life-changing amount of money. And it might be closer than you think. 1991, a single penny. Copper brown. Worn smooth by time. The kind that gets tossed into jars, lost between couch cushions, or left behind in a take-a-penny tray without a second thought. But what if one of those ordinary coins, sitting right now in your home, could be worth more than a luxury mansion? What if a single Lincoln Cent, dated 1991, with one tiny missing detail, has turned everyday people into six-figure winners, and in the most pristine condition, has been whispered about in connection with values reaching an astonishing $844,000? Sounds impossible. That's exactly what makes it real. Because the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent isn't just a coin. It's a modern treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. And the most shocking part? Millions of Americans have handled one and spent it like it was nothing. The story begins in a year that doesn't feel very long ago. 1991. Gas was cheap. The Cold War had just ended. And the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln Cents at a speed that would make your head spin. Philadelphia struck its coins without mint marks. Denver used a D. San Francisco used an S. Simple, predictable, routine. But somewhere in that massive production process, something went wrong. Not loudly, not dramatically. Quietly. A small batch of coins emerged with characteristics that didn't match what collectors expected. Subtle differences, mysterious anomalies, tiny details that only the sharpest eyes would ever notice. And for years, no one did. Because who looks closely at a penny? That's the first twist in this story. The most valuable coins in America aren't always locked away in vaults or displayed in museums. Sometimes they pass through a drive-through window. Sometimes they come back as change from the grocery store. Sometimes they're sitting in a jar in your kitchen right now. The 1991 Lincoln Cent with no mint mark seems ordinary at first glance. That's what makes it so dangerous to ignore. But under magnification, the secrets begin to reveal themselves. Die variations, doubling in the lettering, subtle shifts in the date, unusual strike characteristics that separate a face value coin from a collector's dream. And when one of these coins is discovered in near perfect condition, blazing red, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp detail, the value doesn't just climb. It explodes. Here's where the suspense deepens. Most people think rare coins come from the 1800s, the Wild West, Civil War era, but this one came from your lifetime, which means there's a chance, a real chance, it hasn't been found yet. How many are still out there? How many are sitting in piggy banks, forgotten collections, old coffee cans in the garage? No one knows. And that uncertainty is what fuels the market. Because when collectors start competing for the finest known example of a coin, logic disappears. Condition becomes everything. A circulated coin might be worth a few cents, but a coin graded at the very top of the scale, a near-perfect specimen, enters a different universe entirely. That's how modern coins cross into six-figure territory. That's how ordinary people suddenly find themselves holding something extraordinary. And that's how the number $844,000 enters the conversation. Not for a gold coin. Not for a coin from the 1700s. For a penny. Let that sink in. 1 cent, becoming a life-changing asset. This is where the story turns personal. Because this isn't about a museum piece. It's about the coins you can still find right now. In your home. Think about how many pennies you've handled in your life. Thousands? Tens of thousands? How many did you actually look at? That's the second twist. The difference between a missed opportunity and a financial breakthrough often comes down to a few seconds of attention, the right date, the absence of a mint mark, the brilliance of the surface, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, tiny details that most people never notice, but collectors obsess over. And here's the part that keeps treasure hunters awake at night. New discoveries are still happening. People are still pulling valuable coins out of circulation, still opening old rolls from the bank, still searching through inherited collections, still finding pieces worth hundreds, thousands, sometimes far more than they ever imagined, which means the hunt is not over. It's just beginning. And every time someone dismisses a penny as worthless, the odds shift in favor of the person who decides to look closer. Because rare coins don't announce themselves, they hide in plain sight. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent represents something bigger than its metal content. It represents the idea that wealth can be overlooked, that opportunity can be disguised as something ordinary, that the next life-changing discovery might be sitting in your change jar instead of on Wall Street. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you actually checked your coins? Not glanced at them. Checked them. Examined the date. Looked for the mint mark. Tilted the surface under a light. Because that simple act, the act most people never take, is where the story changes. That's where curiosity becomes possibility, and possibility becomes value. This is the moment in every treasure story where the music builds, where the camera zooms in, where the realization hits. You don't need a metal detector on a beach. You don't need to buy expensive antiques. You don't need to be a professional collector. You just need to look at what you already have. That's it. The greatest barrier between most people and a rare coin discovery isn't knowledge. It's attention. Because once you know what to look for, the world of pocket change transforms. Every coin becomes a question. Every date becomes a clue. Every missing mint mark becomes a heartbeat. Could this be the one? And imagine the moment if it is. The moment you see the details line up. The moment you realize you're holding something that shouldn't exist in ordinary change. The moment the value jumps from one cent to something that could change your financial future. That's not fantasy. That's a documented pattern in the world of coin collecting. And it's happening quietly, every single day, while most people walk past it without a second thought. Here's the final revelation. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just about its highest reported value. It's about what it represents. It represents the idea that the next great discovery doesn't belong to experts alone. It belongs to the person willing to slow down and look. Because somewhere in America tonight, someone will empty their pockets onto a table. They'll see a handful of pennies. They'll almost walk away. Then they'll stop. They'll remember this story. They'll pick one up, check the date, search for the mint mark. And in that quiet moment, the ordinary will become extraordinary. The hunt will begin. And the question that changes everything will echo in their mind. What if this one is worth a fortune? So before you walk past that jar of coins, before you ignore the change in your car, before you spend another penny without looking at it, take a second. Because history has already proven that life-changing discoveries don't always come from where we expect. Sometimes, they come from a single coin, waiting for someone like you to finally notice.